Welcome to the Moon Talks with Dad channel. Our brains rely on external context to define reality. Look at the shape in the center. By placing an A and a C on either side, your brain reads it as the letter B. But by swapping those for the numbers 12 and 14, you suddenly see the number 13. Your perception of the exact same object changed based entirely on its surroundings. This happens because, as psychologist Daniel Kahneman famously observed, the human brain is lazy. To conserve energy, we default to the path of least resistance, making quick assumptions based on the environment rather than investigating every detail. This reliance on shortcuts means we often fail to distinguish between what is happening in the world around us and what is happening inside our own bodies. This blur between context and feeling leads us to make choices that don't actually reflect our true preferences. To study this confusion, psychologists Arthur Aaron and Donald Dutton conducted an experiment at the Capilano Suspension Bridge. They compared two groups of men. One group crossed a swaying 70-meter-high suspension bridge over a deep gorge, while the second group crossed a stable 3-meter-high bridge. In the middle of their crossing, an attractive woman intercepted the men, asked them to complete a survey, and gave them her phone number. When the results came in, the difference was clear. The men on the stable bridge rarely called. However, about half of the men who crossed the dangerous suspension bridge followed up with the woman. This is known as the misattribution of arousal. These men had elevated heart rates because they were afraid of the drop. But because there was an attractive woman in front of them, their lazy brains mislabeled that physical fear as romantic attraction. This biological glitch reveals a significant vulnerability. If we can mistake pure physical terror for love, we have to consider how many other major life decisions are being driven by the stress of our environment rather than our actual desires. The suspension bridge isn't just a physical structure, it's a metaphor for the modern world. Today's chaotic, high-pressure society creates a constant state of instability beneath our feet. We see this when people engage in panic buying at the supermarket, chase investment trends because of social media hype, or stay in unfulfilling corporate careers simply because the people around them insist it's the only correct path. This external panic spikes our heart rate, and our brain, looking for a reason for the stress, misinterprets that anxiety as an urgent personal need for things we don't actually care about. By letting the external world dictate our internal state, we end up following the momentum of the crowd. We spend our lives reacting to a biological illusion rather than pursuing our own goals. Reclaiming your autonomy requires the conscious decision to step off the bridge and ignore the communal noise. Actress Zhang Xiaofei provides a clear example of this independence. While her peers at the Beijing Film Academy were frantically chasing mainstream stardom in a highly competitive environment, she took a different route. Zhang ignored the industry's hype and focused on comedy and supporting roles, work that wasn't considered glamorous or high status. She refused to let the industry's collective pressure define her career. That focus eventually led her to a leading role in Hi Mom, which earned her the Golden Rooster Award for Best Actress. Zhang avoided the misattribution glitch by staying grounded. Because she wasn't reacting to the industry's communal panic, she was able to listen to her own career goals, rather than misinterpreting the noise of the crowd as a personal necessity. If we know this biological glitch is inescapable, the question becomes, how do we weaponize it for our own benefit? Weaponization starts with grounding yourself so your brain doesn't default to panic. This is what Stephen Guise calls mini-habits. A mini-habit is a goal so small, like doing one single push-up every day, that it doesn't trigger your brain's alarm system. Because the task is so easy, it doesn't create the stress that leads to misattribution. These small, consistent actions build a foundation of internal control. They train your mind to focus on your own rhythm, making you less susceptible to the frantic pace of the outside world. Once you are grounded, you can use the bridge effect intentionally. You can deliberately construct a high-pressure scenario to force your own growth. Inamori Kazuo, the founder of Kyocera, used this strategy to build his company from the ground up. When Kyocera was still young, they received a large order from IBM that required technical specifications far beyond their current capabilities. It was a high-risk situation that most companies would have avoided. Kazuo accepted the order, locking his team onto a terrifying operational bridge, where the only way forward was to innovate or fail. The inescapable pressure of the IBM contract functioned like the height of the suspension bridge. It elevated the team's physiological state, providing a level of intensity that Kazuo channeled into the work. Because the goal was the only context available for their stress, that energy went directly into the technical solution they needed. By observing your inner self and raising your cognitive awareness, you ensure that society cannot manipulate your emotions. Don't let the crowd push you onto their bridge, but when you are truly ready to grow, you must find the courage within yourself to step out and build your own. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.